Thank you so much for having us. We are excited to be here. We're going to talk specifically about social strategy for Give More 24. We'll start by introducing ourselves. We're from Pyramid Communications. We're a full-service strategy and creative firm that's been giving voice to good causes for 25 years. So we offer everything from qualitative research through strategy development, whether that's strategic planning, communications planning, social strategy, capital campaign development, and then we offer full-service implementation support. So whether it's graphic design, digital, or under social media, we help with all of that kind of stuff. And we work almost exclusively for nonprofit organizations, foundations, government agencies, and native tribes focused on arts and culture, conservation and sustainability, education, healthcare, and social justice and equity. So we are big fans of Give More 24, and we're excited to be here. I'm Emily. I'm Pyramid's Chief Marketing Officer, and this is my colleague Melanie.
Hi, my name is Melanie. I'm a Senior Digital Strategist at Pyramid. Before I came to Pyramid, I primarily did digital communications for political campaigns in the Pacific Northwest and other nonprofit and advocacy organizations. So I've been on your side and the consultant side that we're on right now. So I know the kind of work that you're doing and the range of capacities that everyone in the room has. So.
Awesome. Okay, so here's what we were thinking we would do today. We thought we would start by discussing how social can support Give More 24 success. We wanted to go through the steps to develop a strategy for this year's campaign, and then we wanted to talk through some best practices by channel, talk about Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, anything else that might be interesting and helpful to you all. So does that sound good? Awesome. All right, thank you for the woo. Cool. Okay, is there anything else that would be helpful to talk through today that you don't see here? Did I hear some? Did I hear a murmur? Okay, well, let us know as we go. We want to keep this informal, so please interrupt us at any point in time, ask questions, ask us to pause or go deeper on something. We want this to be as helpful as possible for you all. And to help us get a sense of who's in the room, we want to start by just asking a few questions, starting with who has participated in Give More 24 before? Wow, awesome. Okay, cool. Who feels really, really comfortable with social media and developing a campaign-specific social strategy? Awesome, cool. So we'll ask you all for help as we go. Who is completely uncomfortable with social media? Yeah, thanks.
Can I be both?
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Let's see, who felt really, really good about how they used social media during Give More 24 last year? Okay, so I want to ask a couple of questions about that. Why did you feel good about how you used social last year?
Well, I think we targeted our message well. We used a variety of different medium to reach a larger audience. I felt that leading up to the campaign, we built our social media following, and that we were able to engage.
How did you do that? How did you build your following leading that?
Well, it was a first attempt. Let's just say it'll build. It's been an ongoing process, but using it was the main thing that hadn't really been adequately or maximized in the past. So building support through our champions, sending out kind of leading messages that attracted followers.
Cool. Okay, cool. Thank you. Who else felt really good about what they did with social last year and would like to tell us why? All the hands went away, yeah.
So we've done, I'm with Arts of Clark County, we've done Give More 24 for 3 years. We did 3 different years, right? Oh, 3 years. And anyway, initially when we first did it, we didn't go any of the workshops for Give More 24, and it was not very successful. So, this isn't to suck up to Give More 24, but we took all the workshops And we did really well. It was just a dramatic increase in the amount we raised. And it was through the social media piece. And I give a lot of credit to Nolan's info snap idea, which we totally used through Facebook. And I think it was very effective.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so who was not thrilled with their social strategy for Give More 24 last year? Or who can cite what they felt like was a barrier or some of the biggest challenges in using social media for Give More 24, whether that's organizational capacity or anything else?
You just said it, organizational capacity.
Yeah, yeah. We understand. So we'll try and speak to that over the course of today and how you can sort of scale your social strategy accordingly. But I'm happy to dig more into that. Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have. We didn't participate last year, but when you do things like Giving Tuesday and things of that nature, there's always duplications with your standard template you send out to your donors. So I may get 5 or 6 with a different organization on it. How do we prevent that?
Do you mean via email?
The email, campaign, like during December, we'll get 5 or 6 requests, and it's always the same statement except for a different name on it.
Yeah. Well, maybe we might both have a couple of answers to that. I mean, I think that one of the best things that you can do is and we'll dig into this in a few slides, but as you're developing your strategy, really think about all of the different types of content that you could be sharing. So a type of content could be an article, a relevant or timely article that speaks to the work you do, could be a testimonial or story from a client that you serve, could be an image, could be a video, but it really helps me to sort of start by making a list of what are all of the different types of content that I have at my disposal. And then as you're starting to build out your calendar, you're sort of slotting those in and taking a look at a calendar view to make sure that there's some variety there. Yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that. Do you want to add anything before we move on to that question?
Yeah, I would just say that, as a campaign, the message is the same overall. The message is participate in this day of giving, for this reason, because you care about what our organization is doing. So you just want to mix that up a little bit so that, in essence, you're saying the same thing for the duration. You're just saying it in slightly different ways, using slightly different messaging to kind of catch people's eye and keep them engaged.
I think we often feel self-conscious about repetition in our content marketing, but it is important. Okay, let's see. So before we go too much farther, we want to talk about the theme because there is a theme for this year's Give More 24, and it is 24 hours and 24 reasons to give back to our community. So you can see a couple of sample messages and pieces of creative on the screen here, but what this theme is really designed to do is go beyond the what and how of Give More 24 and get to the why. We want to make emotional connections with audiences and engage them and allow them to share why they're giving, what this means to them, why they're choosing to support the organization that they are. It is a theme that is easily activated. It's meant to provide space for many points of view, for many issues to show up across the campaign, and it will be more successful the more that it is activated. And so it is our sincere, we did create a series of graphics for social sharing that that touch on a range of issues based on participating organizations in Give More 24, and we hope that you'll use them. But we also really hope that campaign creative doesn't stop with us and that this provides more than anything else just inspiration for how you can create your own graphics and creative for use in Give More 24 this year. Okay.
Okay, so we're here today to talk specifically about social media and how you can shape your social strategy for Give More 24. There's no shortage of digital tools out there. Earlier we were talking about how to use email, and people are doing texting campaigns. There's so many things out there, but we're focusing on social media today for a couple of reasons. Give More 24 is all about crowdfunding, and social media is social. It's where, you know, there's social validation. You see what's going on. You see that your supporters or your friends are taking action. They're participating in something. It inspires you to do the same. But aside from that, social media is fairly easy to use. Everyone in here is probably already on social media and using it, you know, for your own personal use. You might not be on Snapchat or Instagram, but I'm sure everyone in here has a Facebook account, so you understand how it works. It's a familiar tool for everyone. Your organization likely already has a social presence. That means you've already got followers who are used to seeing your branded content. They're used to seeing messages and asks from you. They've opted in to be on your list. They self-identified as supporters, so they're at the ready to take an action. And, you know, again, the social validation concept, we trust our friends, we trust other messengers who are spreading similar messages. We will be more spurred to take action when we see that others are already doing it online. So social media is like the easiest tool, easy to use, easy to learn. It can scale depending on your capacity. If you got a full team of people who can create graphics for you and post them regularly and interact, or if you got one person and, you know, you're using some of the free tools that were mentioned earlier, you can only make posts, you know, once a week or so. It really doesn't matter. It can be used at any scale to a positive effect. So next, we're getting into, in a little bit, we will get into some specific best practices and guides on, you know, how to use some specific social platforms. But first we want to get into how to create your overall plan. So, you know, taking a step back, looking at the big picture and thinking about how you can use social media to accomplish your big picture goals. You know, in my years working on digital campaigns, social campaigns, the best ones are the ones that start at the end with the goal in mind, you know, so that you can know what you're working toward. You can know which social platforms to use, which sorts of messages, how frequently you need to be posting, and who you're trying to reach. So with Give More 24, the ultimate goal might be to raise a certain dollar amount, but it might also be to increase engagement on your social media pages. It might be to gain more followers so that you can build an email list so that down the road you can make future asks of them and that they can, you know, support you later on. So think about the different goals that you have. Also keep in mind that because social and digital they're tools that are nimble. If your goals change, your social plan can change too. So don't feel like once you've written those goals down and you've written your plan down that you're locked in. You can tweak it on the fly and iterate as you go. So thinking about your goals, ask yourself the question, it may seem obvious, but ask yourself the question, what exactly are we trying to do? What will success look like on September 21st or September 25th or December 31st? You know, think about those goals, go all the way to the end, and then work backwards from there. After you've got those big picture goals in mind, you need to get the lay of the land so that you can create a realistic plan. So more questions, asking questions like, who exactly am I trying to reach and where can I best reach them? Are you trying to reach all of your supporters? Are you just trying to reach supporters who live in Southwest Washington or the entire state of Washington, the whole Pacific Northwest? Are you trying to reach only people who have never contributed before? Do you have a different message for those who have contributed or who have volunteered? So think about those things, and then think about where you might find them. Maybe your supporters or maybe your key target audiences aren't on social media, or maybe for some reason they're only on Twitter. So, you know, put your resources only at Twitter. You'll be a little bit more efficient if you use targeted approaches rather than a blanket sort of approach. You know, the great thing about social media is that you know who your followers are in each platform. And it's no longer the kind of billboard approach where you put something up and you hope that the right people are seeing it. Once you know who you're trying to reach and where they are, think about what you need them to know and understand. Are they already familiar with your organization and your mission? Are they familiar with Give More 24? Or do they need a refresher? Do they kind of need to be brought along, you know, all summer long until September 21st? Or are they already pretty familiar and they're hearing messages from you frequently? And so it won't be a surprise. It won't come out of nowhere that you're asking them to give big on the day. Also, think about what you have at your disposal. Capacity-wise, do you have designers? Do you have somebody who can be managing your social accounts? Do you have other messengers, influencers, validators who you can reach out to and ask if they can be a voice for your cause? Or other partner organizations, other trusted community members. Also, think about how this fits into your broader communications plan. Surely this is not the only thing going on in the next couple of months. You might have to think about other priorities and goals for your organization that this has to kind of wedge into. It might not be the highest priority issue, or maybe it is. Think about other things that may be happening in real time, news events or other press-related events that this may or may not need to compete against. And keep all of those things in mind as you then craft your plan and come up with your calendar and your schedule. So, thanks. Once you've got all of those questions answered, it's time to develop your strategy, develop your plan. So, goals, messages, schedule, audiences, and messengers. Once you can solidly answer all of those questions, you put all those pieces together, and that's how your strong plan is built. So with your intended audiences in mind, think about how you'll craft your messages. So which messages you might need depending on who your audiences are. You might have a couple of different ones. They might be in different places. They might need to be told different things. And think about which messengers might be the most effective voices for sharing those messages. Maybe a champion or an elected leader or another trusted messenger might be a good voice for a certain message. Maybe another good messenger would be somebody who's impacted by the services that your organization provides. So think about the different voices. The voice doesn't always have to be your own organization. It's really nice when you can mix that up. Messages might be better received when it's coming from a different voice. So think about where you're going to reach your audience. Again, take a look at your followers on each platform that you've got. If you don't have very many active followers on social media, then don't worry about it and put your resources elsewhere. Or if you've got the capacity to start building up, as I said earlier, if you've got capacity to start getting those pages active and really get followers to start engaging and paying attention and get them interested in your content, definitely do that. You've got the time to get them going in the next 2 months. Now that you know which platforms you're going to be using and who your audiences are, think about the kind of content that you'll need to put together. Can you put together videos? Can you put together infographics or other simple shareable images? Can you repurpose any of that and also have it on your website or put it in the body of an email so that your emails don't all have the same written content? Are they things that partners or other messengers can share for you and that you can easily package up and give to them? And think about the capacity that you might have for creating some of the other content. Emily mentioned that we created share images. We came up with 24 reasons why somebody might want to give, a range of reasons, a range of issues. Definitely feel free to use those, but if you can, riff on them, come up with your own reasons, or ask your supporters for their own reasons for doing it. There are a host of free tools out there if you need assistance creating simple graphics, and I think you all will have the Give More 24 logo to use as well, so that you can add to those. Again, think about, when you're coming up with your plan, think about other capacity issues, what's happening in real time, news events, and how that might affect your calendar. Are you able to post, start 3 times a week starting now, leading up to September 21st, or do you not really have room in your calendar until the first week of September? And so those last few weeks, the push has really got to be strong, and your messages really have to be clear. If you've got room between now and then, or the more time that you have, the more room that you have, the the more thoughtful that you can be in planning and developing that content and really thinking about a story that you might want to tell. You know, tell the full story instead of just starting, if you can, instead of just starting with, on September 21st, we need you to participate. And think about in community engagement, how you're going to make social media social. So that means joining in conversations, asking for conversations to take place, or trying to encourage conversations, asking questions, asking your supporters what their reasons are for giving, what their reasons are for supporting your organization. You know, if people are commenting, get in there and like supportive comments or answer any questions that might arise. You know, you don't want to just set it and forget it. You want to be seen as an organization that really cares. You're really a part of the community. You're engaging with your supporters, and that's why they're continuing to participate and support your organization. And on that note, most importantly, don't forget to thank your supporters. If it is just for a positive comment, or if they shared a post of yours, you know, so that their own networks can see it, thank them for that. Definitely thank them if they do contribute. If possible, if you can track your contributions, it would be so great if you could do shout outs, you know, online, tag them if you're able to on social, or even do like a list of, you know, people who gave a contribution this week, if you can write a whole list of them. People love to see that. They love to see the validation. They love to know that you got their contribution. It actually made a difference. It went to a real person. Somebody saw that come in and they were thanked for it. You know, they are then going to feel like they truly did something. They took an action that was recognized, and they will be more likely to continue supporting you and taking more actions down the road. So with that, we will move on to how to use different platforms. You know, like I said earlier, there's so many of them out there. You might not be on Snapchat, that's totally okay. The 3 most popular, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we will just focus on those. That's most likely the platforms that everyone in here is using, and where most people are. That's what I use.
Are there any questions before we get into specific channels so far? Okay.
You said, are those 24 reasons coming to us?
Yes, they will be in the toolkit on the Give More 24 website. There's nodding and thumbs up in the back.
They're not there yet, but they will be.
They're not there yet, but they will be. Other questions? Yeah.
So when we're talking about social media, you said that if you don't have very many followers on one platform, then don't worry about it. When do you cut your losses on a platform?
I think you kind of just know. I think you know, like you're not there. You don't have very many followers on here. They're not really interacting with what you're putting out there. Everything's falling flat. You've tried. I think if you've already tried, if you've put in effort to tweak your content, try and shift and see, you know, change your messages, change your visuals, try posting at different times of day, and inserting really clear calls to action, and it's still not working, and you've tried building up a following and they're not participating, maybe you don't have the right followers. Maybe that's just not the right platform for your intended audience because they're just not Twitter users, and that's totally okay. The most important thing is to reach your audience where they are. And if they're on Facebook, focus on Facebook because that's going to be a better use of your time and your energy. Yeah, but I wouldn't say, you know, if you've only got 120 followers, then that's it. It's just that it's not a one-size-fits-all answer.
From Facebook, I was wondering if you could address your recommendations for boosting posts, whether it's worth it to pay for advertising, and maybe like what percentage of your posts might be worth boosting.
Again, I would say it's not one size fits all for what percentage of your posts are worth boosting, but it definitely is worth trying it. Maybe try, you know, what your most important message is, your clearest message and, you know, image or graphic that you put together. If there's one that really pins down the whole message that you're trying to articulate and that you want the most people to see, boost that one, because that's the most important one. You want more people to see it. and see how it goes. And again, with the targeting, you can target, specific people in a certain zip code, or it could be all of your followers, or that type of thing.
Is it okay worthwhile to like boost maybe just a couple of posts to see in the beginning?
I would say do one at a time. Do one for several days, see how it goes, or maybe even a week, 4 or 5 days, see how it goes, and depending on your results, tweak from there. Stick with, if it's doing really well, keep it going. Let it continue boosting it, for as long as you can afford to. If it's not really doing well, see what you can change for the next version. Maybe it's an image with less text on it, or shorter copy because the post is too long. In the back.
Are you going to talk to people about how to actually check the analytics so they can see things like best times and areas or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Anyone else? Yes.
I have boosted some of our posts and it was pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody suggested to me that we run ads on Facebook. And I would like to caution everybody that I had placed a $20 budget on 2 ads. I was billed for over $700. And when I challenged it, Facebook had so many little fine print things that I ended up having to pay it.
That's terrible.
She must have chosen each
Really?
last year.
I know personally something similar has happened to me. You've got, by default, they set your end date to be a month from today.
Yeah.
And so yes, lesson, if you're setting up an ad or boosting a post, make sure that before you do anything, before you step away from it, check the end date, because they will be sneaky and they'll by default make it longer than you likely intend it to be. Yeah. Good point.
Other questions?
Yeah.
It's a little bit off topic from this slide, but I'm thinking about the 24 questions there.
24 reasons.
I noticed the examples you had, they seem to relate to perhaps certain types of nonprofits. But with 24 questions, how did you ensure that you're kind of touching on the whole range of types of nonprofits? In other words, like, is one of those 24 questions have an image and a feel that it could be relating to an arts nonprofit?
Yes.
As opposed to, some other social service type thing?
Yeah, we looked at the list of participating organizations and we made several, I'm not sure how many exactly, but we made several versions or options of graphics for each category. So of the 5 or 6 categories of types of organizations participating. So I believe there were some that had to do with animals and pets, arts, healthcare. Can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but we were definitely mindful to make them appropriate for everyone. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to talk through just a few best practices for Facebook, and then to the question in the back, maybe I can pass back to Melanni to do a little more description on how you can actually go into your account and check your insights and make decisions based on those. So Give More 24 is a distinct moment in time, and it is a special occasion, and so it should look like it is on your Facebook page. So definitely think about updating your cover photo to use campaign-specific creative. Maybe you are linking to the donate page on the Give More 24 site in your bio. In general, you're posting 1 to 2 times a day on Facebook. Maybe the frequency increases, particularly as we get closer to the day of. And definitely try and think about how your story builds over time on Facebook. So, maybe a month out, you're still just really focused on all of the normal kinds of things and types of content you would post on Facebook generally. You are working to increase understanding of the issue that you work on. You're sharing testimonials and stories, photos. Maybe as we get, a little bit closer, you're introducing Give More 24 is coming up, and I'm going to be asking for your support, starting to pepper that in. As you're getting closer, you're giving more reminders, and then of course you're beginning to make hard asks. Checking your insights for the best times of day to reach your followers. Melanni will talk more about that. Melanni also mentioned, don't set it and forget it. Make sure to engage in conversation with your followers and ask them for help. Ask them to share their reason to give. Ask them to share their reason for supporting your nonprofit or for caring about the issue that you work on. Be sure and check posts after they're up. Respond to comments, thank people for sharing. Visual content is best, so when posting, so post graphics or videos as much as you possibly can, and when you do, don't forget to provide the instruction in the content of your post as well, providing links to where you want people to go and giving them clear instruction on what you want them to do. Keep copy pretty short and sweet, like 50 characters. Is a good standard for Facebook posts. And don't worry about hashtags so much. You see a ton of hashtags on Facebook, and there's not a ton of data to support that expands your reach or supports goals.
Just a couple of other notes to expand on some of these things. It's really important, that first note, if you're posting a graphic or a photo, to include the link. Because if somebody clicks on that graphic or photo, it's just going to open up. It's not actually going to take them to the website where they can take the really important action that you want them to. So always include that at the in your share language or in the post text. A bit.ly, a link shortener, so that you don't have the really long string URL in there. Or you could customize it to say whatever you want it to say. So these are some examples that we created. These are just mock-ups from our Facebook page. But if anybody were to go to our profile, they wouldn't see that top portion because that's the portion we see because we manage the page. But they would see up here, oh, that's different. That doesn't really look like something that Pyramid's usually posted. What is this all about? And hopefully they would then go to that URL to learn more about it. And here is, and also we changed the button up there next to message. That's an option that you can do in Facebook. You can have that button say anything. You can say like, follow, contact us. Right now we changed it to donate, and you can enter a URL and have somebody click that button and go exactly to the page where you want them to go.
To the Give More 24 page?
Yes, yeah. And here is an example post that we gave or that we shared. Introducing our audience. Our audience is not tied to a specific organization. We're in this scenario, we're just we're a general supporter. Our audience isn't tied to a specific organization or a specific issue, so we chose one of the broader. We also included some broader, more general share images, share graphics in this toolkit. So this is just sort of a general message, and we say in there, visit URL to find out how you can make a difference. Because without that link, somebody clicking that photo again, it just would pop up. So make sure that you include those. And the note about insights, I don't have a screenshot for it in here, but if you, on the page that you manage, if you click on view page, this is what you'll see up here. Up at the top, just above the cover photo, you see insights. If you click that, a whole other really awesome section will open up where you can learn about exactly who your audience is, the breakdown in gender, breakdown in age, where they are exactly. You can see, the top cities and states where they are. You can see the days of the week that they're most active and engaging with your content, and the times of day. It'll be a graphic, so it'll be pretty easy to understand. In a lot of cases, I've actually seen, or some of the pages that I've looked at, people are online and active between like 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., so when they're at work. That might be the case, which means that's really easy for you because you're at work, and so you can be posting any time that you're working. Or it might be that people aren't really active until 5 p.m. and it's between 5 and 7, and so you should keep that in mind when you're posting, and then schedule your posts ahead. You don't have to actually be at your computer at 5 o'clock entering it. You could use a tool like Hootsuite or Buffer. There are a couple of other free ones out there that make scheduling posts really, really easy. Another good thing about insights is you can see which particular posts did really well, got really high engagement, or saw a lot of activity. whether it was paid or boosted or not. You might notice like, wow, videos do really, really well. We should spend a bit more time making videos. Or videos aren't really working here, so let's maybe not worry about making a video this round. So it's really useful information that you should definitely look at as you're coming up with your plan and developing your editorial calendar. Yes?
So I love the idea of the donate button, but my understanding is if you have that up any day before the giving day, if someone goes to the page and you see that, they can't donate.
Aha, that's right. You won't be able to donate until the 21st. So maybe before then it just says learn more.
Yeah.
And
On midnight, 20th.
Yeah.
You switch it over.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
If you donate to your website, how do you collect donations?
Yeah. Any other questions about Facebook?
I do have a question. We in our office have a limited staff to support this daily or twice a day Facebook. However, I do realize it is very valuable. Is there a non-profit Facebook social media organization here in Clark County that supports us small nonprofits? Questions of, gee, this is what happened, or without looking for a volunteer within my organization that's going to help me build this Facebook page.
Pyramid communication?
Yeah, we do. So we offer full ranges of support for our clients. So everything from very small projects and a few hours of answering questions and helping get set up through huge campaigns. And so yeah, absolutely, give us a call. We're happy to talk about it and see how we might be able to help. And there are lots of other resources too. If you're not looking, we have recommended to other clients in the past going to PSU for like communications and advertising students that are looking to build their resumes and volunteer.
WSU.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot where I was. At WSU? Yes. Yeah.
And nonprofit network, Jeannie is here. She has a lot of resources.
Actually, so I'm Jeannie with the Nonprofit Network, and I've recently been contacted by some IT people who want to do some volunteer projects with small organizations that don't have their own support system. So I can ask them if this is something, it's combined with a couple other people who I know, we might be able to come up with something. So if you want to reach out to me and see how that goes in the next week or so, or if you need some help with your server issues or networking internally, then let me know, because I have a couple of people who want to volunteer to help you.
Or you can use Facebook to tap your own network and put a post out that says, hey, we're looking for some volunteer support in social media. If you're interested, reach out. And you never know what supporters you might have for your organization already that would be delighted to come in and help out for a couple of hours.
You can also join the nonprofit group for Facebook. So there's thousands of nonprofits there.
Awesome. Cool. So many ideas.
Okay, yep. Okay, so now Instagram. Does anyone in here use Instagram for your organization? Yes. Okay, cool. All right. This is, fairly newer, or compared to Facebook. Everyone, we've all been running Facebook accounts for years. Instagram is newer. Not everyone has jumped on board yet and really familiarized and gotten comfortable with how to use it. Does anyone in here use stories for your organization? Yeah, it's a bit newer. It's a lot of fun. So these are just some quick overall tips on how to use Instagram for your nonprofit. The first one is to make sure that it's set up as a business account, not just as a personal profile. Setting it up as a business account will hook your Facebook contact information to it, so a button will come up so somebody can easily contact you. And it will give you access to more insights so that you can see who your followers are, how they're engaging with your content, when they're online, that sort of thing. The second bullet is not a bullet. In my notes, the second bullet is note that in Instagram, your profile is essentially the only place where you can customize any information that's going to be up for an extended period of time. It's not like, I can click on the Facebook profile that we just showed you previously, where you have a lot of spaces to describe who you are and what you're doing, a lot of different places to put links. In Instagram, you've just got a couple of lines in a bio, and that's the only spot where you can put a clickable link. So it's really important to keep that updated, and I'll show you an example of that in a second and talk more about that when we get into posting actual content. But that profile spot is the one place that you can tweak. So whenever you need to, make sure that you edit it with a relevant snippet or a relevant link where you want to direct folks. In terms of frequency, you don't need to worry about using it as much as you're using Facebook. Like I said earlier, most people are using Facebook when they're or a lot of people use Facebook still when they're at work on the computer. People are still using Facebook overwhelmingly on their cell phones, but Instagram is not being used as much or in the same way. And it's not expected that you're going to post as frequently on Instagram as you are on Facebook, especially because the content is different. Instagram is all visual. It's photos, it's some graphics, it's videos. It's not really links to relevant news articles or links to a blog post or links to a donate page. It's visual content, so you think about it differently, and you don't have to mirror everything that you're putting on Facebook on Instagram. And as for timing, ask yourself if you would see it if you were a follower. Like, would you see it if you posted it at 9 a.m.? Or would you be more likely to see it if you posted it at 4 o'clock? So keep those kind of things in mind when you're thinking about when to post. And push notifications. It's a mobile app. You can view some things and engage and participate with Instagram on your computer, but it's first and foremost a mobile app. So your notifications come in on your phone. So, it might just be one of you who's managing the Instagram account, or you might have a couple of people managing it. Make sure at least one person has notifications turned on so that you get an alert whenever anything happens, whenever anyone engages with you. In case there are questions or comments that you need to address or respond to, or if you want to see if you got new followers or messages in Instagram or anything like that.
That's on the mobile device?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's not within the Instagram. That's
for Instagram, depending on your phone, you either go into the settings for Instagram or you go into the settings for your phone,
right.
But you just opt into notifications for Instagram.
Gotcha.
Yes?
I have a question for Instagram. It doesn't pop up in a timely order of pictures.
Right.
So like with the algorithm stuff, how do you know what the best type of post is to be on somebody's?
So the algorithms are, they're tricky. They're algorithms. We don't know how they work really. As with Facebook, it's whatever Instagram thinks is going to be the most compelling and most engaging to your followers. So if a lot of people are liking your photo, then Instagram's going to keep serving it, and it's going to be at the top of my feed when I pop in there. So it's kind of a chicken or egg thing. You got to work and get yourself to the point where your followers are really liking your content so that they click like and more people see it, and so that it is continually served. But how do you get there? You kind of just wing it and try different things and see what works.
So then on Instagram, do you suggest using more hashtags then, more hashtags,
Yes.
more views, more like?
Yes, absolutely. The next slide, actually, I'll just skip down to the very bottom. Unlike Facebook, hashtags really will help you out on Instagram. In fact, I just read something the other day that said posts with more than 11 hashtags do better than those without. So in Instagram, people, when you go to that search tab, you can search hashtags and so many things will come up. People really use that feature. So try to use as many as you can. Try to tap into different categories or use them as descriptors, but also do a little bit of research yourself. Come up with a list of what you think might be good and search for them and see what kind of content comes up. you might see that a particular hashtag is really, 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 really popular, which means that a lot of people are using it, people are searching for it, they might find your post. That has pluses, that has pros and cons. The con might be that your content gets buried and is lost, but the pro is that so many people are using it, more people might see it. Or conversely, you might do some research and see that a hashtag has never been used before. That's kind of great because then you can establish your own presence and kind of take ownership of that hashtag over time. So I'll go back to the top of that one. Just general tips again about the kind of content to post. It's all visual. So that means photos, graphics, videos, and you want to post things that your audience is going to engage with. So just think about how you use Instagram yourself. What catches your eye? What do you like linger on? And what do you kind of just zoom past and not really look at? So really close up, tightly cropped photos of people or of things. You know, something that really shows a human element where you can see someone's face. Those tight close up real photos will do better and will more resonate with your audience. And try and use real people and tag them, recognized figures in your community, you know, people who work for your organization, someone on your board, somebody who has, you know, volunteers who work with you. Really show your community because your audience knows your community and they will recognize it and they'll see that when they see you come up in your feed, and again, it's just another reason for them to want to connect with you and to continue to engage. Don't worry about having to take professional, beautiful photos on an expensive camera. Use your phone. That's what we're all using. Take them on your phone, crop them, you know, do a couple of things before you post it. Crop it, make sure, adjust it so that it's straight. If it kind of came out funky and wonky, feel free to use filters, have fun with filters, you know, use it as if you were using it for your own personal use. And test things out before you publish them. So get to that last step before you hit post and make sure you like how it looks. If you don't like how it looks, go back and change something, uncrop it or adjust the cropping or try a different filter. And you can post square images. You could do portrait or landscape. I'm not sure that there's a time limit on videos, but it doesn't have to be. I think there's a 60-second video time limit. Don't worry about using the full 60 seconds if you don't want to. You don't have to. Again, use as many hashtags as you can. As for the post that goes along with your, the caption or the post text that goes along with that photo or video, there's really no character count limit. They will truncate it and you'll have to click on read more if you want to see the whole thing. They truncate after the first 3 lines. So try and stick to 125 characters if you can. You know, all the hashtags in the world that you want can be at the end of that post. They don't have to be seen. And include a call to action. If you are directing people, if you want people to click on or go to your page on the Give More 24 site, really common practice in your caption is to say link in bio. Direct people back to your bio because that's the only place where they can click on link. So the next slide has our examples. We put them in here backwards. Here's our profile, our company page, and we have a little blurb in there introducing Give More 24, and that's the link to, you know, imagine this is September 21st. This is a link to a page where people can donate. And here is an example post. It's actually, in this case, we did use the same content that we posted on Facebook, and we've added our hashtag Give More 24, and we say click link in bio. So, you know, they work together, really easy. Any questions?
So on Instagram, if we post something for our organization and then we want to share it on Facebook, basically I have to post it on my personal page and share that. Is there a different way to do that?
Yeah, you copy and paste.
I'm sorry, so you're posting an Instagram, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
So like when you go into your settings on Instagram, it'll ask if you want to use Twitter. And you just select that. So it should, if it's an actual business account, it will be your page. So it goes to your personal one. But you have some settings that's not secondary. It's just you can choose your page, you don't automatic. And it doesn't give me a choice, so then I'm not. Yeah, you can turn on and off every time you post. Yeah. Yeah, if I want to like see what's happening in your Instagram, it's actually not.
Good crowdsourcing. Okay, so I realize we're out of time. So very quickly, we wanted to just touch on Twitter. The good news is we don't have as much to say here. Of course, we're using no more than 120 characters. Well, 140 characters, but we recommend keeping it shorter. Tweet, retweet, and like often. Similarly, include visual content, and try and limit your hashtags to 2. We'd recommend here. And I think we'll just stop there and ask if there are just a couple of last questions, or including, is there anything that we can provide to you after we go back to the office today, or add to the toolkit in terms of any channels you would like additional best practices on, or any resources you're looking for that we might be able to help point you to?
I have this is my first year. When you say give more 24, in the back of my mind, I keep thinking it's September the 24th. I was wondering, is there a way in the future years to tie it to give more 24th, September 24th? It helps to bring in to remember that. Because after you mentioned September 21st, I thought it was September 24th. And I have to tell myself, I'm focused now back to September 21st.
That's an excellent idea.
So just a little bit about that. I think one year we did have it on the 24th. Yeah. It changes every year. We try to keep it on a Thursday late in the month. And then the theme behind the Give More 24 is really the 24 hours of giving. So it can get confusing because we are in the 20 days of September, but the 24 is meant to be that time span rather than the day of the month.
Are there any analytics from the last couple of years on how many donations came through these different platforms as a whole? Because I'm sure that someone on the other end that's receiving all the donations is seeing where the links are coming from.
I think we do have data from our software provider, India, on how people are getting to the donation page.
Right.
I don't know if it follows through if they completed the donation, but how they get to that page, I think they are tracking it by Facebook and Twitter.
Is that information available to us?
I have to look in our report, and if it's not, I have it. So if you want to email me, I can.
Okay, that'd be great.
Any last questions? Anything else we can do to support your success after we go back to the office? Anything we can send you?
Send money.
Okay, yeah. We will share with all of our friends leading up to and on the day. Thank you so much.